But there's one thing I would like to share with all the marketers is ability to learn. And because, the technology is constantly evolving and it does impact how marketing needs to be conducted or even perform, if you will. Like way back then, you had to do print, okay? But somehow now with the digital, we have to do a lot of pay ads. We have to be on social media. Now with AI, we have to learn how to use AI to possibly make our job a little bit easier. So the one thing that you need to have is ability to learn and never stop learning. And that's very, very important.
Welcome to Demand Bites, the podcast where B2B demand generation leaders find the strategies they need to grow. I'm your host, Ross Howard, Director of Insights at Inbox Insight. And in just 15 minutes, my guests and I will uncover what's broken in the B2B buyer journey and provide real-world strategies you can put to work right away. So whether you're looking for an innovative demand generation technique or expert advice on accelerating sales, this podcast gives you the tools you need to succeed. Ready to identify, educate, and convert your ideal customer profile, or at least learn how other people are doing it? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today on Demand Buyers, I have author, speaker, fractional CMO extraordinaire, Pam Didner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ross. I love the word extraordinaire. I feel special.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. I feel special having you here. So I've been really excited since our first conversation to have you on and learn from you, learn about your journey. I know that you've had roles at Intel and worked with loads of different B2B marketers, helping them grow. Do you want to give us a little bit of background about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Pam Didner here. And like Ross indicated, I am a B2B marketer through and through. Can you tell? Anyway, a long time ago, I started as accountant. I was actually a certified public accountant. But I work in the finance accounting department. And I was like, you know what? I hate saying this. I love accounting and all, but this is really not for me. Okay. So I started looking to try on different jobs. And then I started working for Intel. And the way back then, it was a company that actually encouraged people to move around. I would say that's kind of mentality for kind of like the first generation of a tech companies. So I joined them as kind of like a finance and accounting person, eventually moved to operations and the product development. And there were a period of time I was actually on manufacturing floor counting parts because I was doing supply chain. And one of my managers actually moved to the marketing side and doing operations for events. And then he was like, Pam, it's operations. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. I will join you. So that's how I started kind of like my marketing journey. It was kind of like a twist of fate. It was not very intentional.
If you could give marketers one piece of advice that you would share with them, where do you start?
That's actually a very good question. But there's one thing I would like to share with all the marketers is ability to learn. And because, the technology is constantly evolving and it does impact how marketing needs to be conducted or even perform, if you will. Like way back then, you had to do print, okay? But somehow now with the digital, we have to do a lot of pay ads. We have to be on social media. Now with AI, we have to learn how to use AI to possibly make our job a little bit easier. So the one thing that you need to have is ability to learn and never stop learning. And that's very, very important.
That's a fantastic answer. In terms of demand generation, we really want to zero in on how can we help demand generation managers and the people responsible for it in B2B companies drive growth and in a sustainable, efficient way is more important than ever. What specific demand generation strategies are you seeing in the market at the moment, and how could they be better?
To me, the biggest tip, especially in the digital world, in the modern marketing of demand generation, it's not necessarily that moment that you did the demand generation. For example, if you have events or if you have a trade show And the people come to your trade show, come to your booth, they are in front of you. And then you have, 30 seconds or 5 minutes of their time. And then you try to tell them what is actually good and try to generate that, interest and the demand with them. That's actually good. But the most important thing about demand generation is a follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. So you created that first touch point, which is excellent. But after the event, how can you continuously create additional touch point to keep that momentum going? We tend to feel short on that because once we finish events, we move on. Everybody moves on, right? There's a next event we have to go to. There's a next account we have to tackle. But the most important thing on demand gen is how do you build that follow-up? How do you build that conversations? And how do you keep that additional touch point going? Think about that. Okay, everyone?
That's a fantastic answer. It's something that we did a study this year around B2B buyer behavior. And one of the things that came up was the number of not just content touch points that a buyer goes through, but the amount of hours they spend per month researching into these topics is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's an average of 10 hours a month over a 6-month sales cycle. So they're trying to educate themselves. They're trying to make the right decision. If you're in there with like 1 or 2 assets that are exceptional, you'll grab the attention. But yeah, unless you are there consistently offering that value, you're going to lose the top of mind penetration that you need.
You actually brought a very good point, Ross. And I just did a talk at one of the conferences 2 days ago in Chicago. You just said basically, 1 or 2 pieces of content needs to be pretty good to capture the attention, but also what is after that, right? So the bottom line is in the talk, I shared that with everybody. You have to think content, or content is a conversation opener. It's basically when you send an email with something attached to it, and hopefully somebody will open that email and then somehow look at your content. If they are interested, it was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I kind of want to talk to Russ about this, right? So if the content is good, and that's a conversation opener. So I told all the attendees who were actually at the conference, I say, look at the content as a piece of tools that you can use to bend the odds to your favor. So if you send out the email, you have to think, what is the probability that person is going to open that email? Probably very small. So what do you do to bend that odd to your favor? Can we have a better subject line? Can we have a better content? Can we do something to get the attention so I can bend the odds to my favor? And that's how you need to think about content in the context of demand gen.
While we're on the topic of content, and so you brought up AI already. It's a huge enabler for a lot of teams, but it's also, there are a lot of marketers with a lot of doubts at the moment about efficacy, quality, risk, time to learn it. What are your tips around using generative AI?
Okay, you brought a very good point, Ross. Like if you read a lot of blog posts, they were that AI is going to make your job easy, but they forgot to tell you something, that it actually does take time to learn it. So when you are in the press timeline to get a lot of stuff done, AI is not necessarily going to help you like right away unless you are very good at prompting. So unless you are the expert at prompting, you're like, I know exactly what I'm looking for and I want exactly what I know AI to do, and you write a very good prompt, chances are the AI probably can give you a fairly decent answer. But you are totally right. A lot of time when you are working with AI, you have to try a multiple different times kind of to get an answer that you are looking for. That's number one. And the second thing is you need to have a point of view. So if you basically ask AI, say, give me a demand generation plan for 2025 and for my company sell this kind of products and my target audience is this, my budget is this, create a plan for me. Chances are the AI can give you something. But you need to make the judgment call. Is that plan good? That's where your knowledge and expertise will come from. My take on this is always try to use AI. If you are using AI to generate content, use that as a first draft. Don't just copy and paste. Done. That's not going to work.
I know another area you're really passionate about is sales and marketing alignment. I know that was a big theme for you in the past, and it's a huge one for all B2B marketers, but especially if you're in, trying to capture demand and partner with sales. What's your top tip for sales and marketing alignment?
Do you know, like, the tip, it sounds going to be, when I said it, you were like, seriously, Pam? Because I talked to many, many sales and marketing departments across many, many companies. And the number one things that you need to do is, can I say this? I'm going to say this out and clear. Talk to each other. Salespeople, you know what? You need help. Just go and tell marketing and not yell. That's a wrong word, Pam. Don't use that word. Tell them very nicely and say you need help. You need content. Let them know. But when you are telling them, let them know what you are looking for, what sales stages you are in, and why you need it. I have come to realize salespeople will say, I need help, and that's it. But it's your job to elaborate a little bit, all right? Marketing on the same way. You cannot create content and throw it to the other side of the wall and then expect salespeople to use it. They are not going to use it. They are busy. They are so busy. They are calling people all the time. They are not going to look at your content unless you structure the content in the way they understand. So the key thing is talk to each other and think from each other's perspective. Like, marketing people is like, oh, we are about nurturing. But when you talk to sales, it's not about nurturing. They are hunters, right? They talk to several accounts. They don't have budget. They move on. So as a marketing, you need to think, not as a person who nurture the prospect. It's like, oh, they move on to a different target. What can I do to help that? To help that conversion, right? So it's that talking to each other and also try to understand each other's perspective, to me, is very, very important. And I have found that many, many companies or many divisions or departments have not done that well.
Fantastic advice. Really pragmatic advice as well. Thank you so much, Pam. Really appreciate your time today, coming on the show.
Anytime.
Where can people find you and follow you?
All right. So Pam Didner here. And you can always go to my website if you have any specific marketing or sales related questions. You can also find me in almost every single social media channel. And I recently just got on TikTok.
Right, I'll get my phone out.
And I started talking about, life in general and also life as a B2B marketing professionals. But a lot of you are business professionals. You can always find me on LinkedIn and reach out and connect with me. And that will be great.
Fantastic. Pam, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Take care. Bye-bye.
And that wraps up today's episode of Demand Bites. Thanks for listening. I hope the insights provided today are able to help you power up your own demand generation efforts. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, make sure to hit subscribe so you're always up to date with the latest strategies. If you're looking for more insight, stay connected with Inbox Insight on LinkedIn and join a network of marketing leaders driving the future of demand gen.